AECT Standard 1 addresses content knowledge and candidates' ability to create, use, assess, and manage theoretical and practical applications of educational technologies and processes. This is something that's evident in my responsibilities as a second grade teacher because it's pretty much daily that I'm having to create my own materials and select and use tools and facilitate those with my students. The following are some artifacts that demonstrate that. An artifact that demonstrates Standard 1.1 creating is my opinion paragraph for second grade instructional design product. Here I use the information from my needs assessment survey to create my learning materials. I chose to use Google Slides as my format for presenting the materials. This is just something that's conducive to whole group instruction, partner activities. I've used this in my classroom and have shared it with my peers, and I intend on using parts of this, if not all of it, again this fall. Slides are just something that are easily accessible to a number of people and are also a good pacing tool. An artifact that demonstrates Standard 1.2 using is my tools and resources sheet from my project-based learning assignment. And here I just have a collection of all of the resources I used in the unit, including my online collection of books through Epic, my online bulletin board that I use through Padlet, and just having everything here in one place makes it accessible not only to me, but also for me to be able to easily share this with my peers. An artifact that demonstrates Standard 1.3 assessing and evaluating is my relative advantage chart. Here for this assignment, I had to identify a learning problem and then a technology solution, state the relative advantage, and then the expected outcome. What this has done for me is it has kind of given me a different lens that I use to assess how I'm integrating technology into my classroom, and this would help others to have this same thought process when they are looking to see if their technology uses are appropriate. AECT Standard 2 Content Pedagogy says that candidates are able to develop as reflective practitioners to effectively implement educational technologies and processes based on current content and pedagogy. What this essentially is saying is that we're able to integrate technology into or with best practices to create authentic learning experiences for students that are meaningful. I feel like the following artifacts demonstrate this standard. My Jigsaw web page from my educational web design class demonstrates Standard 2.1 creating. Here I applied the cooperative learning strategy of Jigsaw, where students become an expert in an area and teach each other. This happened to be on Christmas around the world, which transfers ownership of learning to students. I use this strategy frequently with different content areas and finding more ways to incorporate technology. This could help others foster peer communication. For AECT Standard 2.2 using, this social studies lesson is an example of that. Here I utilized educational tools such as an online book collection through Epic. I also utilized KidCitizen.net, which introduced students to primary source images, as well as Google Maps. What this did for the learners was provided them some authentic context that they could make real-life connections to. And these are tools that are easily accessible to anybody and would help in the classroom. For Standard 2.4, Managing Content Pedagogy, an artifact that demonstrated this was the professional development plan that I created in EdTech 554. For this plan, we were to create a year-long PD course for educators. In doing this, there was a lot of pieces to manage. I had to take into consideration the learners, the location, equipment, who was going to be the trainers. I had to create objectives for each of the monthly sessions. The way that this would be helpful to others is that doing it over the course of a school year rather than condensed into a few days at the beginning of the school year would allow the learners to work with the material throughout the year and collaborate with each other on a more frequent basis. AECT Standard 3 says that educators can facilitate learning by creating, using, evaluating, and managing effective learning environments. This is a critical standard because students, whether they're young or adult learners, need to be able to feel safe and confident and supported in their learning environment. The following artifacts demonstrate my ability in that area. My worked example from my EdTech multimedia class is an example of my ability to create an instructional design product based on research and learning principles. Here I made a tutorial video to demonstrate how to use compensation with number lines, which is a math strategy in second grade. This could be used for reteaching, pre-teaching. I've also made similar videos that I have shared with parents on YouTube for them to be able to help their students with these strategies at home with homework. This particular video was addressing the modality principle because of my use of just narration and not additional text. An artifact that demonstrated my ability to use appropriate processes and resources was my Powtoon artifact for my multimedia class. Here I used Powtoon, which is an online presentation tool, to demonstrate text features for second graders. I utilized the embodiment principle, which is using an avatar, which has been shown to help students with their learning. I use the contiguity principle by using arrows to connect text with pictures. And then I also use the personalization principle, which included my using a conversational tone and informal wording. This could be used as reference material for students and as tutorials. An artifact that demonstrated my ability to manage mechanisms for maintaining technology infrastructure was my technology rollout assignment, which had me choose a technology that was going to be rolled out and then plan for that process. And I chose an online reading curriculum that is going to be rolled out this fall at my school. I had to identify areas of concern and then address them to stakeholders. Here, this assignment demonstrates my ability to be a forward thinker and anticipate obstacles and hiccups, and is really applicable to any kind of new implementation, whether it be classroom or school-wide. AECT Standard 4 addresses professional knowledge and skills and says that candidates can design, develop, implement, and evaluate technology-rich learning environments in supportive communities of practice. My knowledge and skills will affect my ability to integrate technology in effective ways in the classroom. The following are some artifacts that demonstrate that. Demonstrating Standard 4.1 collaborative practice was my evaluation plan with an SME for my instructional design product on opinion writing. Here I had to work with a subject matter expert who was my peer. She happened to be my ELA representative as well as my co-teacher. She had access to my plans, and then I elicited feedback from her via a survey. This demonstrated my ability to collaborate in an effective manner, which is present in any profession. It's important to be able to be open to constructive criticism and allow different perspectives to come together, because it really benefits everybody, because it identifies areas of weakness and allows for growth. Standard 4.3 Reflection on Practice was demonstrated with my EdTech Learning Log. Here this was a blogging platform for me to do weekly blogs on assignments that correlated to my coursework in EdTech 541, Integrating Technology into the Classroom. So reflection allows you to collect your thoughts and synthesize your new knowledge and then analyze your instruction for personal growth. What this did for me was it stimulated reflective habits, which I've carried into my daily routine. I now reflect with handwritten notes at the end of each day in my planner, which will inform my future instruction. An artifact that demonstrated Standard 4.5 ethics was my strategic change plan, which had me identify a technology-related change that needed to happen and then lay out the plans to see it through. Ethics came into play by showing a commitment to the profession by encouraging my peers to improve their technical knowledge. It also respected their qualifications by designating tasks. It respected the cultural context of the school by anticipating emotional reactions to a change. Ultimately, respecting diversity and showing ethical behavior helps others by setting a standard of practice. AECT Standard 5 addresses research and candidates' ability to explore, evaluate, synthesize, and apply inquiry methods to enhance learning and improve performance. As someone who hopes to be a lifelong learner, keeping up with research and promoting inquiry, not only for myself but for my students, demonstrates the standard. An artifact that demonstrated Standard 5.1 Theoretical Foundations was my synthesis paper. Here I researched past and current theories and proposed the thesis that social constructivist principles could be realized in the classroom through the use of Web 2.0 tools. I utilized databases available to me through BSU to gather my resources. This assignment reintroduced me to educational theories that drive my approaches to instruction. Having this knowledge helps my students by giving me a deeper understanding of why certain approaches work better than others. My final app for my mobile app design class demonstrates Standard 5.2 method. Here I used my acquired skills to design a quiz app for parts of speech for second graders. I had researched other app designs to get some inspiration and then had to go through the process of revising and debugging when the code didn't respond the way that I wanted to. And I had to do this by utilizing online discussion boards, online resources, and speaking with peers. Troubleshooting is a necessary skill and can help others when you are able to share your findings as well. I am pretty familiar with the process of troubleshooting as it's something that I have to do daily in my classroom. My evaluation report from EdTech 505 demonstrated Standard 5.3, Assessing and Evaluating. Here I gave a formal evaluation of iStation, Idaho's newest state assessment for grades K-3. My method compared student data with objectives as well as surveys to determine the effectiveness of the program. This assignment gave me insight into the comprehensive nature of formal evaluations, allowing me to look at the programs that I use differently and can inform others on how to assess their own programs in a systematic way.